Welcome to this episode of the Brand Story Breakroom. I am your host, Steve Gilman, and my co-host is...
Lindsey Laughlin. Thanks, Steve.
I surprised you with that one, didn't I?
You did. Keeping me on my toes.
Yeah, I got to make sure you're paying attention. We're here to talk about a couple of brands that we picked today, and I'm not completely sure what Lindsey chose to discuss today. We always pick a brand and don't really fill each other in on what we brought. But I do know that we both picked brands. We tried to pick a criteria where we were both choosing brands that aren't incredibly well known and, talk a little bit about what we can learn from them and what jumps out to us about them. So, Lindsey, I can't wait to hear about the brand that you brought. So what brand is it, and what's your focus on it?
Yeah, so the brand I chose to talk about today is actually one I'm actually wearing one of their shirts, but the brand is called the Shop Forward. And just for some background, the Shop Forward is an online store that sells apparel and accessories, but they're a philanthropic company. So part of all of their sales go to a variety of different charities, and within their online store, they have different product lines, and the different product lines go to different charities. So they support, charities like St. Jude, the Trevor Project. There are small animal shelters, in specific towns that they'll donate to. And when there's a natural disaster, they'll make shirts. And then all the proceeds from those shirts will go to help, that community get back on their feet and things like that.
So like a specific shirt will be for a specific charity?
Yes. So, all the wildfires in California that happen almost every year, it seems. They'll make shirts that have the shape of the state of California and say California Strong. And then you can buy those shirts, and then the proceeds go to help, people who've lost their homes get back on their feet and things like that.
That is really cool. What's the company called again?
It's called the Shop Forward.
Shop Forward?
Yeah, and what I think is really interesting about it is the woman who started the company, her name is Mary. She actually has a fashion background. She worked for Marc Jacobs in New York and has always loved fashion, but always been very involved with charitable work. And so she created this company as a way to kind of balance or combine those two passions. And I think they do a great job. Their why is very clear, from their name to their website to everything they do. You can probably see a little on my shirt here. Everything is very positive. It's all about giving back. And they have fun with it, but you know who they are and what they stand for. And so they attract people with, a similar interest, people who want to do good with their purchases, which I think is really cool. But they don't forget that at the core of what they do, they are a business. So they know their business has to operate well in order to do all of, the nice things that they do. A lot of care and attention goes into the fabrics that they choose and the colors that they choose, and then what they print on the shirts and the bags and all of the things like that. And I just think that's so important. They don't try to cannibalize their core business to just focus on the good that they do. They realize that the business has to exist to be able to support the charities that they support. But they are also not too serious about it. They, I think, balance pop culture with what they do really well. And so they have a Ted Lasso line. They have Taylor Swift shirts. They have shirts where the 4 things on them relate to popular TV shows like Friends. So they find a way to kind of be involved in trends and in pop culture, but they're not photoshopping their brand, on something and sharing it on Instagram, or just sharing a meme and trying to be funny. Like, it all goes back to what their core product is. And I just think it's such a great way to marry, or to understand that you can do good and be different things with your company, but find ways to relate that back to what your company actually does. I just think they're a great example of that, and I love supporting them.
That's really cool. So what is for the listeners out there, what does your shirt say today?
Yeah, so my shirt says, "Be kind, choose joy, laugh a lot, eat cake." And I think that's just really fun. They did, during the pandemic, they made shirts where the 4 things related to healthcare professionals. They have ones that relate to teachers, like I said, different TV shows. And then they also have products where you can customize your shirt or your tote bag with 4 things that you choose.
Oh, really?
So it's really fun because you can pick 4 things that you love and put them on a shirt. I've seen, they'll share photos then on social media of what people pick. And a lot of people will pick their kids' names or their pets' names or places they've traveled. People will get them for bachelorette parties, with things about their wedding or different things like that. Or for corporate events, they'll get things about their business or what they do. So it's really kind of a fun way to personalize and to get involved with the products you're buying, and then feel good about buying those things too.
Yeah, because you're helping a charity, you're helping organizations that frankly need the help. I think it's really cool. I've seen you wear a few of the shirts, and I've always been like, where does she get all these cool shirts? I never asked you before, but it's nice to know. So you really do have an assortment of very cool shirts, and they look like they're really good quality too, which is neat.
They are, and they really try to focus on, as much as possible getting things made in the United States or producing, their products sustainably. They have, I think one piece of jewelry, one necklace that they sell, and it's all handmade in Nashville and things like that. So it's a really cool company, and yeah, they live their why out loud every day.
I think that's great. I mean, I think from a brand point of view, they seem like they would be absolutely clear about what their mission is and what they care about. And, it's not like they're making you buy only shirts that, have something cause related on them. So I think it's smart that they have a little bit of, products for everyone, whether you're doing a corporate thing or whether you want to personalize. But I love that they always bring it back to what their mission, where their heart is and what their why is, because there are so many brands that, might want to do logo wear or t-shirts or certain kinds of things from a promotional point of view. And it might not make as much sense as what this company is doing.
They're very smart with how what they do, but then how they market and promote, their products and things like that. Like I said, they are very good at being a business, but a business that gives back. And I think some companies that gets a little bit lost. They're either good at giving back or they're good at being a business, but they don't quite know how to relate the two very well.
It's really cool to see a brand that's balancing that well. I'll have to go. I will immediately go and check them out, and we'll put a link to their, at least their store and their page on this episode's, episode page, so that you all can go and check out this really cool brand.
And all the Swifties out there, you can get your Taylor Swift shirts.
Yeah, right. You can get those. You can get all sorts of things. So how many shirts do you have from them right now?
Oh gosh, I have quite a few.
Do you?
Yeah.
You're building your collection?
I have quite a few. Sometimes it's because either, the shirt just makes me laugh. Like I have one that says something like, "It's fine, I'm fine, everything is fine."
Yeah, that's one of my
that I bought during
favorite.
the pandemic.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite shirts here.
That was a great one. But also whenever they announce they do new lines for all of the major holidays. So, Mother's Day, Father's Day, July 4th, Christmas, things like that. They come out with shirts ready for that holiday. And then the nonprofits that they support. If there's one, I'm like, oh yeah, I want to help that one. I'll get a cool shirt and help a nonprofit. Sure, let's do that. So
What a great business model. I love it.
So what do you have for us today, Steve?
Well, in a sort of a related note, I think it's really cool that we both picked such positive brands and didn't talk to each other about it. I picked one of my favorite brands on earth, one that I'm a huge fan of and has some similarities to the brand you chose. And I picked Life is Beautiful, the Life is Beautiful Music Festival. Really, it's more than a music festival, but it's been held for 3 days in September, every September since 2013. And it's over 18 city blocks in downtown Las Vegas. And, just the logistics of blocking off 18 city blocks in a busy, revitalized area of the downtown, which has actually gotten very nice. And it is just one of the most amazing brands from my point of view, and for a very similar reason. They are crystal clear about their why, and they celebrate it, they evangelize it, they reinforce it with you. If you become a fan or you go to their festival, you'll hear from them, but not in a salesy way. And then I think it's one of the only festivals or kind of live event things that I've been to that has such a clear brand and such a clear feeling. So the way they express their brand is just so professional and so well done. So they sort of aim the festival at like the entire theme of the festival is uniting people around like artistic experiences. So ranging from music, and they have a ton of street art. They bring in famous artists from all over the world and do huge murals on the entire 18 block area of the downtown. Some are permanent, some they change out, but that's completely revitalized the look of the downtown and had sort of established that kind of street art and giant murals as being something that sort of the entire city is starting to embrace now. So they've made some effective change there. And then they have this huge culinary track where they bring in famous chefs, up and coming chefs, and they have booths where you can try their food.
That doesn't sound like anything you would like at all.
No, it's definitely not right up my alley at all. It's like a little bit of everything I love. So they have this mantra that's sort of their statement of their why. And I'm just going to read it because I think it's so great. And it's, we exist to build a more beautiful world. A name like Life is Beautiful comes with great responsibility because life is beautiful is more than just a festival. It's a mantra, a way of moving through the world. And so they really reinforce that in a way that I haven't seen other brands do as effectively as them. So if you go to their festival, the thing that surprised me the first time I went was there is signs and signage, and they put up like street signs that look like real street signs, but they're not. And on the street signs and everywhere you look are positive messages about you.
Oh, wow.
So they'll be like, you're doing great. Believe in yourself. You look beautiful today. Like all these things, everywhere you can look, on the ground, on walls, up on signage they've put around. And then the way they introduce acts, the way they talk to you, all the messaging is really positive about bringing people together. And they are so consistent that even the texts you get, like whether they're letting you know about an upcoming lineup, like what this year's lineup's going to be, or you're at the festival and an act is going to be going on for a while and you've signed up for the texts, they'll reach out to you and say, hello, beautiful, and then, tell you what's going on. And I'll tell you, at first I was like, is this cheesy or is this working, as a brand marketer? And I'll tell you, if you walk around and all you see is positive language and over and over and over again, it's reinforced, it creates a very positive experience. So I've been year after, as you well know, I've been year after year after year because it's like, I love it. And I've never seen people hassling with each other. I've never seen a fight. I've never seen people arguing or being unpleasant. Even if people are too drunk, that happens at festivals. Other people kind of jump in and take care of them. I've seen festival goers, they have a program where you can grab a bag and walk around and pick up trash. And then you can trade in a huge bag of trash for some kind of cool little prize. I've seen festival goers walking around picking up trash, turning it in just to get like a little button or a little this or a little that. And it just has a mood that is like nothing else I've ever been to. So yeah, I'm a huge fan.
It sounds like they are just so genuine and authentic with the positivity and their why truly being in their DNA and the heart of what they do. And if it weren't, all of those touch points, either there wouldn't be as many, it wouldn't be as consistent, but it would just feel fake. Like it sounds like you can really tell this is who they are. And because of that, it just comes through in everything that they do.
I think that's such an important point about anyone trying to do something from a brand point of view about consistency and it being true. Like, so my very first time, I thought, well, that's a cool name. That's an unusual name for a festival, and I like music festivals. I'll go check it out. The reason I stayed and the reason I go back every year is because of how true to their brand they are. I mean, they are across the board supportive of diversity, of all kinds of different people coming to the festival. It's welcoming. The people who work there are welcoming. The volunteers they get are welcoming. The mood is somehow like celebrating life. And I think it's because it isn't just a concert, you know? It's, if you wall off 18 blocks, then inside that is food and music, and they, believe it or not, they have comedy and they have, art everywhere. Then you're sort of creating an environment, you really are, and that environment is a giant brand experience. So I think what I admire about it is how thorough they are in creating their brand experience. And that's really how brand experience works. So I love to see it done well.
That's so cool. And I think that also then kind of highlights, a lot of times in business, we'll hear people say, oh, just fake it till you make it. That doesn't work with brand.
It really doesn't. You can't fool anyone, especially anymore. Like, can you imagine like if they were really money grubbing, or they're really trying to take advantage of people, or they're rude, or they're like, have a lot of like really unpleasant rules or any of the things they could do, or if they were cheap about, the amenities or how they take care of you, because they have like security and first aid stations and free water everywhere. And then brands show up, of course, and do brand activations because brands want to be there to support this too. But even the brands bring something that matches the mood. And there is something about, there are a lot of people there. We're talking about, I think it's well over 100,000 people attend this thing. And I've never seen that many people in a good mood before. And it is contagious. So yeah, I feel like they're one of the masters of brand experience. So the lesson that I take from it, that I think any brand can take from it, is you can't fake it. You have to like really believe it in your heart and let that guide all the choices you make. So the acts they pick, the art they choose, it isn't angry, I'll tell you that much. It's like everything's really beautiful and really encouraging and really fun and light. All the colors, everything. So I think, if you want a masterclass in brand experience, I highly recommend attending Life is Beautiful.
So will we get maybe a LinkedIn post or two after Life is Beautiful?
Yeah, I think that'd be a great
Share some
idea.
pictures
I think I was supposed to do that last year and I didn't, so I will make sure I do it this year. Because there's
Yeah,
just
that'd be
some
great.
amazing, amazing stuff that goes on, like all sorts of art activations that are just mind-boggling. They did a thing that was an installation. They arranged 10,000 pounds of recycled trash into something called the Wild Wild Waste. And it was an amazing piece. And it was just like, so things like that. There's so many memorable moments. They have, parades for different, different groups and just so many cool things going on. It's just great. So yeah, I could talk about it all day, but I think you get the point and everyone listening does. I'm a bit of a fan.
Well, I can't wait to hear how this year goes. If my math's right, it's the 10-year anniversary.
Yep, it is. It's the 10-year anniversary of Life is Beautiful. They have some amazing acts coming back. It's a who's who of music, and food. So some of the acts they have, everyone from Nelly to like, Billie Eilish, Post Malone, Cannon, St. Vincent, so many. Like, I just rattle off music acts all day. But, between the music and the food and the art, it's pretty much all I can handle from a sensory overload point of view. And it's an amazing thing. So yeah, the 10-year anniversary I think is going to be really special. I'm really looking forward to it.
I can't wait to hear about it.
Yeah. Well, everybody, thank you for listening. I think we really enjoyed it. I hope you did, hearing about some really positive brands. And if you're thinking about your why and you're thinking about what you do and how you're, doing what you do and how you're expressing it, just make sure it's true and it's from the heart, and it'll work a lot better. You really can't make this stuff up. Want to hear more inspiring stories? Subscribe on your preferred podcast app so you don't miss an episode. And if you like what we're doing, please rate, review, and share. It's the best way to support us. Thank you for listening to Brand Story.